What's going on, everyone? Welcome and thank you for joining me today on the Zumiez Stand Up and Vote series. We are where we chat about issues that matter to you and to your community. My name's Ty. I'm a store manager from the Ontario, Canada area, and I'm hella stoked to be hosting today as we get a wicked show ready for you. So let's talk about it. We're kicking off the launch of a new campaign on the Zumiez stash, not only with Nike SB, but with Brian Anderson. Mind blowing. He is here as well as some other talented individuals. If you have watched our Stand Up and Vote series before, then you probably have a good idea on what it's all about. But for those who don't, let me chat about it for a minute. Zumiez Stand Up and Vote is a campaign focusing on inspiring individuals like yourselves and their communities to get registered and then to go vote. Think of it this way. Your vote could be the vote that makes a difference. That means your voice is heard and that you will help make a difference in the world, in your city, or even your community, and that's huge. The thing is, we want to help you get there, and these three organizations we're working with are going to help in a huge way. So let me tell you about them. Zumiez has partnered with three wonderful nonprofits to help make a difference. Voto Latino, Rock the Vote, and Amplifier. Nike has also stepped in to help give back in a major way to help support these three amazing organizations. Launching today on the Zumiez Stash is a new reward that Zumiez and Nike SB came together on. It's a donation reward to give back to these three powerful organizations. They're doing great things to get young individuals registered to vote, educated and inspired to ultimately get out and vote this fall. Everyone who is part of our Stash family will be given a chance to donate their Stash points to any of these three organizations. For every 10,000 points donated by you, $5 donation will be made. And that's a lot. Use those points to start making a difference. It has to start somewhere. You have the power, so let's work together to make it happen. Want to decide on who to donate your Stash points to? Let's take a moment and see which one of these organizations is making a difference. Roll it.
Art matters now more than ever. Art is our light in these very, very, very dark times.
When the Amplifier team and I were conceiving the We the People campaign, the idea of slogans that were really unassailable, that were about human values, we're greater than fear, we support each other, we defend dignity, were things that we thought were incredibly important to include. And We the People means to all of us, so it was so essential that it include especially groups who had been under attack during the Trump campaign as well as, in recent years.
Hey y'all, I'm Taryn, a Rock the Vote Youth Ambassador, and Rock the Vote's mission is to build the political power of young people and to make sure that our voices are heard and that they count. We're so excited to be partnered with Zumiez for their stand-up campaign to get young people registered all over this nation. Did you know that 4 million young people will turn 18 this year and will be able to vote for the very first time? That means that millennials and Gen Z, our generation, will make up 40% of the voting population. We have the power to radically transform our communities as we know them. So once you're registered, grab 3 of your friends and get them to pledge to vote. Once you get your 3 friends, tell your friends to get their friends, and for their friends to get their friends, and let's rock the vote. Head over to rockthevote.org/Zumiez and do your pledge there. Bye, y'all.
Hey everybody, Danny from Voto Latino here. To date, VL has registered over 225,000 voters for the November 3rd general election. And as proud partners in Zumiez Stand Up and Vote campaign, we're asking you to donate your Zumiez stash points so that we can register even more people. Every day, we're working to educate, engage, and empower the Latinx community to register and turn out to vote. So remember, Wash your hands, wear your mask, stand up and vote, and we'll see you at the polls in November.
What an influence. Super stoked that we get to work with these organizations. If it were me, I'd probably give my points to all three of them. But who do you want to donate to? To kick things off, we will be dropping stash codes throughout this whole experience to jumpstart the donations. So make sure to keep an eye on those points in the chat. If you have questions for Brian and any of our special guests, and the pretty sick guests, make sure to drop your questions in the chat throughout the stream. We'll be giving away 5 $100 gift cards at random, just for asking great questions. Oh, and we have some hoodies too, I'm pretty sure. So hit us with your best questions that you got. Before I bring on our first guest, I want to take a minute to talk about why Zumi stand-up is important and influential to me. And I'll be the first to tell you, growing up, I didn't belong in a friend group and found myself trying to fit in somewhere all the time. Going through terrible experiences like bullying left a huge impact on myself. One thing that helped me find my place was skating. It showed me what it was like to have someone or a group of people to call your own and be part of, which didn't matter what skin color they were, boy, girl, trans, preference, whatever the case may be. You were one and you were equal. And that's what mattered. And what matters to me is equality, and that everyone should be treated as equal. And whether it's now in the near future, no matter where in the world you are, we all face challenges. But your voice makes a difference. So be that change. Voting is your voice, and it all starts with you. All right. Our first guest has not only been an influential person on the board, but also off the board. So let's take a look at what he does best. Brian, super hyped you're here today. Stoked to be able to sit here and chat with you. Huge fan, like I'm sure many others in this chat. Thanks for coming by today, dude.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know who you are, tell us what it was like growing up in Connecticut and getting into skating.
I started skateboarding around 9 years old, so that would be 1985. I was lucky to have a dead-end street, and I borrowed a banana board from my neighbor, and then eventually I got a Veriflex, and I haven't stopped since. I was lucky to have good friends around me in my hometown of Groton, and you know, my parents were really great and supportive. Even when I got hurt and came home bloody and scraped up, they were pretty darn cool. So you know, I worked at a restaurant for a long time, and then I ended up in my late teens becoming sponsored and then starting to go on tour. So I just kept going. I'm 44 now, and I'm still happy and fortunate to still be in it and be a professional skateboarder. So it's great. It's exhilarating all the time, straight up.
So what was it like to leave a 70-hour-a-week job to like commit to skating?
Well, sometimes it was 60 hours. No, don't give me too much props. No, but Well, actually, honestly, I was going to go to school in Vermont at a culinary school. I went and looked at the campus, and then a few of my friends, Judd Hertzler and Donnie Barley, they were out in California, and they kept saying, "Come back to Sacramento, check it out." And my friend Jason Case, I went out with him, and the last time I went out, when I was, I must have been 19, 20. That's when it all clicked, and made a sponsor me tape and flew to San Diego and got on Toy Machine. So
Oh, yeah.
it was an adventure. I was not even prepared for it, but luckily I was around very nice people, and it just flowed from there.
Yeah, it's sick. I mean, just watching Welcome to Hell, and then yeah, right, seeing that transition was like it's super influential to myself, and I'm sure many others. Just watching you skating and being so connected to skateboarding like you are, and being more into the operation sides of things. What was it like having the chance to have influence on your art for like board graphics and whatnot?
It was great because I always had a sketchbook with me. Even before I got sponsored, when I lived in Sacramento, I would take the Greyhound or jump the train to San Francisco. And eventually, once I was sponsored and eventually became pro, I would always draw ideas on napkins. And I was lucky to, with Ed Templeton, it was great because Ed would use my art and he would retune it. And eventually it would end up on a board. And I could trust him because he has great ideas. And then when I was with Girl, the art dump, oh my gosh, Eric Anthony, Herschel, Andy Jenkins, Andy Mueller, everybody at Girl was so great. And I could just give them a little idea on a little bar napkin and they would turn it into reality and put it on the board. So I was so fortunate to always be with, and now with Julian Stranger and Sam and everybody at Deluxe, Todd Francis, so from Toy Machine to Girl to Anti-Hero, I've always been around a great art department. So we just kind of have fun, and they know what I like, and they know what's tasteful, and we just have fun with it, as you should. So
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that you've done, especially like your board graphics and whatnot, especially getting on Anti-Hero. I remember seeing that board for the first time and be like, damn, man,
yeah, what a
Anderson
great
on
board.
Anti-Hero.
Todd Francis really went off on that one.
So that was super sick to see, and it was
Yeah.
especially growing up only seeing like Girl as like the main one, and then seeing Anti-Hero, I was like, what a fit, it was great. But needless to say, throughout that whole time, you've had a ton of accomplishments. Sodi 99, influential skate parts, Welcome to Hell, yeah, right, Nike SB videos, ton of interviews like we're doing now. So with all that going on in like a skateboarder career and having time to do your art, how do you balance the two on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first of all, I balance it by not always getting in a taxi or a Lyft or public transportation, although I do ride the subway. Recently, I've been riding my cruiser board, and that's given me a lot of space because I've been on airplanes for over 20 years. Airplanes, hotel lobbies, taxi cabs, and it's exhausting. I'm not complaining, but it's straight up. I mean, it's pretty wild. It's slightly inhuman, It's like being in a rock and roll band or something, and it showed me great things and introduced me to wonderful people. So again, it's fantastic. I have no complaints, but it's tiring. So the way you balance it is, I like to stretch a lot, eat a lot of health food, and just rest. And then go back out because I'm really high energy. I love to skateboard. I love to paint. And I'm lucky that I have those two things, so yeah, you just got to rest. And if you have the capability and the means to do that, just rest and think and talk to your loved ones, and then go back and do it all over again. So yeah, it's about a routine. It's about a healthy routine, all in all,
Yeah. Has any of that in doing those routines or on like a day-to-day basis? I know you've talked about in the past how your influence for your art comes from like your everyday experiences. Is there anything in a day, any experiences in part of the day that you're like, oh, that's like my influence for my art? Or do you show up on the canvas and you're like, I'm just going to start something and it just goes?
I think a lot of inspiration comes from just watching the general public and interacting with the general public. I think if you isolate yourself and you don't interact with everyday people and social issues and problems, you can become tone deaf, you know? So a lot of times, for example, I walk and skate to the grocery store down here in New Jersey, and I just look at litter on the street, and it makes me think about what are we doing? You know, what are we doing as litter bugs, and what are we doing as humans that consume petrol and all these things? And it kind of humbles you to walk instead of being in a vehicle, you know. I'm not talking down on anyone that gets in their car, but I leave my door and I ride my skateboard. I don't go from my car to the grocery store to the parking lot and then deal with my trunk and a driveway and a garage. Everything I carry on my shoulder these days, and it's been really humbling and influential. So that's kind of what's driving me these days, is just using my legs, luckily, to walk and carry things on my shoulder. So
like you were doing when you were a kid, you're going from spots.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a teenager, even though I'm 44 years old. It's pretty cool.
Going back to the roots.
Yeah.
So what's being able to create art in the way that you do and doing board graphics? Is there anything that you do or any art that you create that allows you to use your voice through it to like send a message, or that's super important to you?
Absolutely. And looking back at my old sketchbooks, they were just sort of, I don't want to say a training ground, but that was the beginning of preparing to now, with time off, unfortunately, because of the quarantine. This is when I really started painting, and painting in a different way than I ever have, and taking more time out. And I'm really channeling my father and my grandfather, who were wonderful painters and woodworkers. So there's something flowing through me from them that I've attached to, I've grabbed onto, and it's pretty spiritual. It's great.
I mean, like I said before, I mean, just seeing some of the things that you've been involved with and seeing some of the work, it's cool to see, even whether it's an art piece or I remember watching one of your interviews, and it was just the 7 different boards you had and all the different sticker jobs you had for each one. And just be like, yeah,
I kind of want to stop using stickers, honestly, because we need to be careful with plastic and all this stuff. But
absolutely,
I already possess them, so I guess I'll just take the stickers I have and keep doing sticker jobs. But yeah, we need to chill out as much plastic as we can, honestly.
Well, 2020 being a huge year in politics with the election happening in November, what are some issues that matter to you? Why is it important to get out there and vote this year specifically?
Just because it's your right, you know, and this discussion about art being your voice, even if you're not 18 years old and you can't vote, people can make music, people can make paintings, drawings and stuff, and express themselves up until the time they can vote. But yeah, we are fortunate, a lot of us, to have the ability to vote, you know, and it's crucial. You know, there are a lot of things that need to change, and they've been ignored for a long time. And so we're at a point right now where it's extremely important to make a change, and your voice matters. Every vote matters. So please register and do it.
So on the topic of Nike and you being a part of Dun's art, they've done in the past, or charity work in the past, especially Nike releasing the charity dunk and donating it, or the auction, donating 30,000 to the Tim Brush Foundation and Skaters for Portland Skate Parks as one example. How did you get involved with the Nike donation reward on the Zumiez stash and the different organizations that Nike will be donating to?
It just happened organically. As everybody may or may not know, I just started painting the sneaker when quarantine happened back in March. And I started using the blue tones because blue is a relaxing color. And then I just got in touch with, you know, Steve Chom and Ryan Flynn, my team managers, and Casper and everybody at SB. And then they got in touch with you guys and over at Zumiez. And we thought, why not put this out there into the world and build up some money to contribute to a good cause, such as voting or first responders. And that's what we're doing. You know, it happened organically, and that's the best way. So I'm really happy, and I want to thank everybody that's been involved, because this is going forward, and we're just going to do more things, you know. So it's just natural. So
I mean, the fact that you're involved, dude, I mean, we're stoked. I'm sure our customers are stoked. Just being able to see what you're going to bring to the table is awesome. Which brings me to the next point. Without showing anything yet, we heard that you're part of the creation of a new pair of shoes for the stash. Can you give us any hints on the design and talk about the inspiration behind it without showing it?
What, a sneaker that I'm working on?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we know what the one I already painted is, right?
The one you painted, correct.
Yeah. Do you want me to show it?
Not yet. We just want to know,
Okay.
like, behind what was the thought process behind it?
Well, I used a razor blade and I cut the swoosh off, and I just thought, you know, triangles, they remind me of Peru, pyramids. And again, as I just said like a minute ago, the tones of blue are very relaxing. And I didn't want to work on all my canvases because those paintings are, I have to be in a different mood. And because we're all so stressed out and uncertain, it was very calm to just work on a shoe, you know, just to like pick it up every day. It took me like, I don't know, a week to slowly paint all those triangles on there. I didn't use any stencils or anything, and I just kept using my palette and making different tones of blue. So, and at the end, I put this orange swoosh on it because it reminds me of a lighthouse light. So
Yeah,
that's the direction.
well, from what we've seen, it's pretty sick. And I know when you showed it earlier, I was like freaking out about it. So stoked for everyone else to see it. But I think something that I'm stoked on for you, and when I watch you in skating or just as a human being, you're a person who likes to, guess you can say, go bold with a lot of things, right? So when it comes to inspiration and whatnot, and for example, we talked about it earlier, but the leopard print hair from the last interview that I watched, and then today, same idea, which is rad. And it's cool to see that, especially in a time where we've been shut down and we've had a lot of times for ourselves. We get to sit and think about who we are and what we want to do and who we want to be. But in a sense, for yourself, what are some other ways that you express yourself inside of the studio and outside of the studio?
I've been self-taught in a lot of ways with my paintings, and I used to write a lot of words, I told you before, on my paintings, and now I've learned to just use images and figures to tell the story. So that's been fun, you know, and I think that's a really neat aspect of making artwork, making paintings, is to let the images and the figures or the content speak for itself or themselves, instead of writing words. I mean, in my sketchbook, I'll write words to get my thoughts down, but painting nowadays, I don't use any words anymore. Just, yeah, when I go outside, you know, I wear a t-shirt that might make people smile, and I always have, you know, some kind of mask ready, and I put music on, and I skate 3 miles every day, even if I'm not out skateboarding and doing tricks on film, and just go out in the world and get some fresh air and wave at people, man. You know, like, geez, a wave and a smile goes a long way these days, you know? So I think that's pretty darn crucial.
Yeah, I think like we talked about before, but just genuinely being like a good human being nowadays goes a long way, and more than we think. You know, someone might need it more than we think, and it can make all the difference.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I've had so many instances where I've had a result from that. You know, I went to CVS the other day, and I saw this elderly couple in their car, and their masks were low, and they were super scared, and they were trying to pull into their spot. They were looking for parking, and I just went like this, and I was like, "There's your spot." And they pulled in like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, big, tall, 6-foot tattooed guy that they probably thought was going to be like a monster." And I just went, "No problem, go in there." And then the smiles on their face, because they were so scared. They were about to go into CVS, terrified, you know? So if you can give somebody a genuine smile and a little reassurance, it's just so needed right now, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
In the world that we live in, a smile can go a long way.
And not everybody can do it. And I'm not saying I'm special, but like a lot of people had a crappy day, or maybe, you know, they are in some first responder career and they have to take the subway. I get it. I don't expect everybody to chuck a smile on their face. It's not easy. But for those of us that have the energy to do that, we should do it.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
We should smile, man, you know, if we can. And if somebody doesn't want to smile back, you go, "Oh, I don't know what their day was like," and you just leave them be. And you just look forward.
Yeah, keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah, we got to go forward.
All right, so
Cool.
we're gonna take
moving along.
We're gonna take a quick break, and just to bring on some of our special guests to the show.
Cool.
In the meantime, we're all gonna hear and see different pieces of art that were created by Zumiez customers. When we come back, these artists will be joining us to talk about the issues that matter to them, as well as the inspiration behind the amazing artwork they've created. Remember, we're going to be asking your questions for Brian and our guests at the end of the interview. So make sure you keep dropping those questions in the chat. We'll be right back.
Didn't mind that you were gone for so long, 'cause I knew that you'd always be mine. It's been a long time, and I'm wondering if you still think about me, 'cause just know I do about you. I still wish we were, but I know you've moved on, and when the sun don't shine, I remember what you used to say. Let yourself breathe, 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 let yourself breathe. Rain only lasts when the clouds are gray, and you're only as hurt as you let yourself be. So don't fall into sadness, walk away from it all. Let yourself breathe, 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 let yourself breathe. Let yourself
All right, welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, my name is Ty, store manager from Ontario, Canada, and we've been chilling with the legend himself, Brian Anderson. I want to take a second to introduce a couple of special guests, Liv and Emery. These are diehard Zumiez customers who've submitted their art last week to have a chance to be on the show today. Well, guess what? Here you are. Stoked you made it here. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So let's dive into this. each one of you have created something special, something that you thought would make a difference and help influence others. In order to create something that special, it had to start from somewhere. So I want to ask each of you, Liv, we can start with you. How did you find your creative talent, and when did you start doing your art?
So yeah, I found my creative talent by just singing to my favorite songs ever since I was little, and then realizing that songwriting was very therapeutic. And I started writing songs around high school, and I was in choir for most of my life. So music's always been my outlet, and it's something that helps me cope with anything that's going on in my life.
Amazing. I'm not gonna lie, like I catch myself singing in the car sometimes, and it's like it's a little therapeutic when you're by yourself and you're just doing your thing. You don't have to worry about anyone judging or nothing like that. Emery, what about you?
Well, when I think of when I first started, I think of all the art classes I went to, like as a little kid with my mom. And one that I went to super often, I actually work at now, and I'm a camp counselor at their summer camp. But I think I really got into art because I used it as a way to create stuff that I enjoy, but wasn't really being marketed towards girls my age. Like, I love ninjas and like Scooby-Doo, so I created a lot of creepy stuff as a way of like expressing myself.
That's to me. What's your favorite Scooby-Doo character?
Well, I'm a huge simp for Velma.
Oh, there you go. So when you guys created this and you had this in mind, what was it that stood out about the Zumiez Stand Up and Vote that made you want to submit your artwork?
Zumiez is for sure my favorite company. I've been going to Zumiez ever since I was in like 6th grade, and I've always admired everything that Zumiez has been doing and has always done to bring their communities together. Inclusivity is so important, and I admire that they took the time to promote and give a voice to people that might not have a big platform and that are all for inclusivity and making everyone around them feel welcome. So for me personally, I just thought it'd be a great opportunity for others to hear my music and give me feedback, and for me to look at other people's art and support them as well, because I love getting to know people through their art.
Powerful. That was a powerful answer. Emery, what about you?
Well, when I first found out about this competition about inclusivity, I was really excited that like such a big corporation was actually speaking out and not being passive about these important topics. And so I really wanted to like, I didn't submit something that didn't have any nuance to it. I wanted to add to the conversation. So at first I didn't really have any inspiration for anything, but then I was looking at some old art and I came up with this idea, and I thought it really ties into like my opinion on inclusivity and also current events that are happening in the world. So.
Damn, it's a good message to follow through. I like how it can be that simple of just you can start from nothing and then out of nowhere, boom, you got some influence, something to think about, something that's been on your mind to start creating something. I think, Brian, do you have some questions for them?
Yes. I started to listen to the beginning of the EP that Liv made, Finding My Peace, the song Breathe, yes. And I loved it because it was sort of lo-fi in the most beautiful way. But like, tell us about how did that come to you? And also I had a genuine question. Did you just record that at home, or how did it work out for you?
Yeah, I just recorded it at home with my best friend. He came over, his name's Kawaja, and we just made our whole EP in my apartment in about like a week. And so specifically my song Breathe, it's just about remembering someone that like helped you get through a rough time in your life and thinking about what they would tell you to make you feel better, and Kawaja also like produced all of it. And then I put it out in May of this
Cool.
year. And just thinking back on things you go through life, it can inspire so much art, and that's what happened with that song.
Cool. And just so everyone knows, we didn't clarify this, but this is great to talk about it now. When we all finish with this Zoom and what we're all discussing right now, we can find it on YouTube and on Spotify.
Yeah, it's on all music
Okay.
platforms. You just have to search Finding My Peace Live, and it'll pop up.
So under YouTube, it would just be, how would people find it? Just so people can hear what you've made.
They can just search Finding My Peace and then space, and then my name, LIV, and it should pop up.
Cool. And then, great. Awesome, Liv. It sounds so cool. I can't wait to listen to it when we all hang out. And Emery, I looked at your drawing in like the colored pencils, I believe it is. And it was so cool because there's 3 figures, yes?
Yeah.
And there's one character that has like a yellow hand for a head, and it reminded me of a Simpsons character, sort of. It made me think of like Maggie or something, you know. And then there was another character on the right that had this sort of face, like a scribbled face, but it was really cool. Like, do you want to describe it a little bit?
Yeah, so actually I have it right here. So yeah, the inspiration for this piece was like it was like, my idea of inclusivity is not only like accepting people, but welcoming diversity and encouraging people to be themselves. And I think that we live in a world that like defaults to being exclusive. So I think I sort of just came up with these random characters. I think the hand one was actually kind of inspired by the Santa Cruz hand, because I thought it was kind of funny. I was gonna put a mouth, but then I was like, that's just plagiarism. But yeah, so I think there's been a lot of discourse about how to be a good ally, especially within the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think it's about not overpowering these Black voices, but just standing with them and supporting them, because they are the true heart of the movement.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So my last question is for you two. When you think about voting and what it can do, even though we think that we may not see a result instantly, how do you think voting impacts the issues that matter to you guys?
So voting is a great way for our communities to let their voices be heard on issues that matter, whether it comes to local government, national government. There's so many elections that you can get involved in and vote for. And it's really important that you take the time to either do a mail-in ballot or make it out to the polls if you can. But that also shouldn't be the end-all be-all. If you want to create change, you can join local organizations, you can donate to mutual aid funds, and just educate yourself and others on what's really going on around us. So with social media, we're able to reach so many people around the world, and we're able to get firsthand information on what life is like for people that are marginalized or in a place where they don't feel safe. And it's up to us to encourage those around us to stand up for what's right and to pay attention to what needs to be done in order for us to keep progressing.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. It's like we talked about before, right? Like our voice or our vote could be the voice for the voiceless, and it's up to us to start making that change. And in this case, your art is your voice. But thank you too for both submitting your pieces of art. Stoked to listen, stoked to see it, and see that you guys are making that first step to making that change in the world. So thank you. Couldn't do it without you. All right, now it's time for your questions. If you haven't left any yet, questions for Brian and our amazing Zumiez customers, hit us with them now for a chance to win a $100 gift card. It's a lot of money, get you some pretty cool stuff. So get those questions in as soon as you can. All right, let's see. First question. How do you educate friends who don't think their vote matters? Brian,
me?
you want to take this one? Yeah, take this one, Brian.
I think you simply tell them if they're, and it's ironic that we're doing a raffle, but if there was a raffle for a concert or a free car or a trip to Hawaii, wouldn't you want your raffle ticket to be in that cardboard box? Like every single ticket matters, you know? So think of it that way, you know? You are at your one little vote. It's not little. It's a part of the big huge pie, and just keep having a conversation with your friends and try to reiterate that, you know, and explain to them that it's extremely important. Every single vote matters.
Yeah, I agree. It's the difference between, hey, do you want to win something? And the more votes that are in there, the better chance of it changing. That's a good way to put
It
it.
makes you feel good. I can say it makes you feel good. You if you're over 18, you're allowed to vote. You walk out of whatever building, or even if you do it through the mail, it's gratifying. It's satisfying. You did something, and you're contributing to society. And I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely, I agree with you, 110%. That awesome question. I want to pronounce it correctly. Bryscaf 13. That's a wonderful question because it can go in so many different ways. All right, second question from Trishap29. What is a good way to get more involved in politics without overwhelming yourself? This one's open to anybody if you want to answer.
If you're asking me, because I don't have a perfect answer in these modern times, it's not even unfortunate, but I mean, you can just Google things. You know, you can, if you have a smartphone or access to a computer, which I think a huge percentage of us do. If not, maybe you can ask a friend if you don't own a phone or something. But just, you know, you can start by Googling things and looking for things in your area and ways that, you know, you can be a part of different programs and different organizations to help, you know. So just ask questions, ask your family members or your friends, or start Googling things, because a lot of good stuff that's very true will come up, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Liv or Emery, do you guys have any other opinions on that? Any things to add?
Yeah, please. I don't want to be the only one that speaks.
Yeah, what I get most of my information from personally is Twitter. Twitter's super informational. Everything's firsthand, and I follow a lot of people that are super involved with politics and making sure everyone knows what's actually happening. And that's just what I do. I don't know if Emery has any more input on where she gets her information to get more involved.
Yeah, I think it's good to find like a neutral news source, like Associated Press, something like. I usually get my information, of course, from things that I just pick up throughout the day. So usually CNN, but I acknowledge that sometimes they can spin the truth a little bit. So it's good to find a source that you can trust, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think there's a lot of things out there in the world that will like to feed us things they want us to see, but maybe not what we should be seeing. So it's super important to find those right resources and spreading that to the people who need to see it. Third question from CX Christine. Being only 15, what can I do to make a difference while not being able to vote? This is a good one. So those who are younger, how can they start to make an impact?
I mean, I would say, first of all, encourage people that you do know that may not be registered that are 18 years old. So if you're 15 and you can't, maybe whoever's around you that you might know, just remind them, give them friendly reminders, and try to help them register. And just help raise awareness about registering to vote. And And by doing that, you're almost voting. Even at 15, if you're encouraging people that are able to vote, you're doing your part. And that speaks volumes.
Well, you could be the difference between whether or not that person votes for the right reasons, and if you never speak up, then you never know. So, Liv, Emery, any input at all? What are your thoughts?
Just make sure that you're educating your friends and family about what's going on, and make sure that they're as passionate as you about it, because it is really important.
Yes, and I second that. Definitely, it's super important to. It's usually stigmatized, like speaking passionately, like you're triggered or you're snowing. But if you have an opinion, speak your mind, because that can change people's opinions. Like I totally changed my opinions in recent times, so definitely speak out.
Yeah, 100%. This next question from Billy's Blonde relates, and I think it's a good question to ask, and will help others understand too how these two are related. But can we explain how art and using your voice relates to voting?
Emery, you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah. So I think about this in like a historical context. Like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about horror movies and how, like the eras of those movies really influenced the content of those movies, and I think that's still true with all art. So like if you take the Black Lives Matter movement and you like I think a lot of people within it are driven by things like photographs from the civil rights movement from the 60s. Like all those people listening to Martin Luther King Jr. speak is so impactful. And so I think that even if you have like a small audience, like your family, think about maybe a historian will someday find your art and think, oh, this was the mindset of the time. So I think, your impact may span beyond what you originally thought.
Dang, it's a good outlook. I never thought of it that way. It's good.
It's like, if I may say so, it's like a cave painting in so many ways. Yeah, it's going to be there on a wall. I think that's what you're saying, Emery, and that's beautiful.
So Brian, or even Liv, you two both, one using their voice and one using their art, and Emily did a great job explaining how she thinks it relates to voting. What are your guys' opinion on it, especially to say Liv using your voice? How are you connecting that to voting?
Art can inspire people to take action, even if it's just like a picture that you took that means a lot to you. And then like with my music, I try to make sure people are paying attention and promoting what matters to me. And what else? Something. I personally think it's amazing that we can all relate to each other through our art and just support one another. And I know I always share art that has an impact on me and makes me feel something. So if you're in a position to reach a lot more people, I also do think it's really important that you're amplifying other people's creations that resonate with you, that you know will positively impact and change someone else's outlook on something or inspire them to take action. So yeah, I'll pass it to Brian, see what he has to say.
Oh, well, I think if you make drawings that you share with the world, or paintings, or music, or in my case, sometimes skateboarding, you're conveying a, a level of calm, if that's what you want to show to the world. And if you can emanate a certain amount of calm and open-mindedness, it's not going to do anything but help people, and then that'll make them think about their voice and their choice. And if you can help people and stimulate their minds to use their voice to create good and help one another out, let's do it. Just it's about churning up positivity whenever possible. And so yeah, if you're making some art, you put little messages in there. They don't have to be Easter eggs, they don't have to be secrets, it doesn't have to be coded. You can straight up say a big statement that might stimulate somebody to go, oh my gosh, let's all take care of one another. And voting is taking care of one another.
Yeah, I back that one. I think we're all here to support one another, and by doing all those things that you guys just spoke about, I think that's a great starting point. And
thank you, first responders. Not to interrupt you, but first responders are taking care of everyone that's falling ill, and those are the most important people in the world. And I just want to say thank you to all of them, straight up and down. Like, thank you.
Okay, so for our last question from Low Dog 83, what if you don't like any of the candidates running? What do we do?
That's really tough. All right, well, if you guys don't mind, I'll start. If you ladies don't mind, I'll start. We spoke about this earlier. I heard Jon Stewart on Stephen Colbert's show speak about this. And even if you were a Bernie supporter, and I think that man is great, someone like Joe Biden, maybe he doesn't have a perfect life, or not everybody agrees with everything, but something that Jon Stewart said is that he's experienced loss, he's experienced death, and someone like that, we need someone like that who has been around with Barack Obama as vice president. And so I think a lot of the good things about Barack Obama are probably running through Joe Biden. So yeah, it's a bummer. There's only two choices, right? Let's just say the names, Donald Trump or Joe Biden. So, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, in my opinion, we don't want Donald Trump to be president again. I'm sorry. I just said it. We don't, and that's a huge conversation, but so, and I'll touch on this, that being that Biden is probably going to have a female vice president, please, because we need women in power. We need women in the administration. The more women, the better. So I don't know. That's my little thought process about it. Women give birth to us. Yay. I think he's going to bring that to us. We'll see. That's my little view. That's my little view on it.
Emery, what are your thoughts that you were going to say?
Yeah, so I think people sort of look at surface level stuff when it comes to not liking someone. Except for if they're have a racist history, then of course don't like them. But I think with Biden specifically, I think people say oh, he's just another old white guy. But Brian, you said he's being progressive and supporting women entering the White House. And so I think that progressiveness can actually be a huge factor in what he's going to do for this country if he gets elected. So like I said earlier, look for a good leader, someone who will listen to you and not just further their own agenda. And that's it.
And I definitely agree with both Brian and Emery. And also, there are tons of other things you can vote for on the ballot that are super important and will make a difference. So make sure you're voting for those candidates as well.
Yeah, I think regardless of whichever way that vote goes, as long as we are all taking the necessary steps to make sure that we're going in the right direction, that's the first step and the most important thing. And I'm stoked to have you guys here to be able to help facilitate that and be those first people to start doing that. But thanks everyone for all your questions. So we ran out of time a little bit on the questions, but some great ones, got some great answers, some great insight. So thank you for that. We're stoked that you were able to join us for this experience with Brian and these awesome artists. And congratulations to all the gift card winners. Some sick money, free money, spend it, get some cool stuff from Zumiez, get some stash, do what you got to do. I do want to give a big shout out to Liv and Emery here for creating and submitting what they did, and for joining us today. You guys are awesome. Thanks for coming in. Just as a heads up, you're both going to get a $200 gift card from Zumiez and a Nike SB prize pack just for submitting what you did and being able to come on today. So thank you for that, and continue doing what you do best.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right. So while these folks head out, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to ask your questions for Brian before we say goodbye. So we'll see you guys in a few. All right, and we're back. I'm Ty, store manager from Ontario, Canada, and joined with me today is Brian Anderson. Brian, before we close, talk about two sneak preview that you've been working on with the Zumiez stash.
Sorry, you were a little muffled there.
Oh, sorry. Did you want to give us a little sneak preview of the shoe that you created for the Zumiez stash?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's this it's an NBA Blazer low, and I cut the swoosh off, and I painted a bunch of blue triangles with all different tones, as you can see. And it's my size, it's a 13, so whoever gets it, whether you wear it or not, that's kind of cool. Here's the other one. So I made the swoosh kind of orange, kind of like a lighthouse or church glass. And yeah, I didn't trace anything. I just used this one angular paintbrush to do it. And then we have the box. The box is almost finished. The exterior is not done, right? So, and then the top says Nike SB. I put painter's tape over it. This is going to have a lovely pattern going all over it. But in the inside is finished. I used this wonderful African shirt, and I cut the shirt, and I wrapped the shirt around cardboard and then glued it inside the box. So whoever gets this, when you open it up, it's going to have this beautiful African print inside, and I put tea tree oil. I wish you had smell-o-vision right now. There's tea tree oil and almond oil and stuff that I'm going to put in the box. So when you open it, you're going to get a nice waft of a good scent. So those are the shoes, and I'm sure they're going to find a happy home. And it's just great that we can share the funds with all these charities and everything. And I'm just so appreciative. This has been so fun, and let's do another one. Let's do it again.
Another one.
Yeah. Just keep making art. What it's all I can do is help the world. Making it is free besides paying for art supplies and then shipping and stuff. But yeah, it was so fun. It was very soothing to make it. So I'm really happy that we can all share it. Not just me, we can share it with the world.
Well, I think anyone who gets those shoes, they're going to be pretty stoked. It's a one-of shoe. kind of hand painted by Brian Anderson. Pretty sick, and for a great cause.
It just happened. I didn't plan it. It just unfolded.
That's how the best things turn out.
Also, I can't wait to hear Liv's song too. I'm really excited. I want to hear it like through and through. And I want everybody, to see Emery's creation too. It's so cool. This is about all of us,
Absolutely. I agree. So the last thing before we move on, what is the next little bit of the year looking like? Has COVID kind of like wiped the schedule, or you still got a planned year ahead of you?
Well, being that I'm down in New Jersey and I'm not in New York City, I'm in South Jersey. I'm by Asbury Park. It's a lot easier to be in open air and just kind of, be ready. Like usually I have this down and like ready to just go up. But, oh my God, up and down. But, I'm going to keep skateboarding outdoors with my friends as long as it's allowed, and respecting other people's personal space and not breathing on people that I don't know. I wash my hands, and if I go into the grocery store, I just weave around if I see people that look like they might have a compromised immune system. And that's kind of all we can do. I'm not like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but straight up, like, if just keep making art. I'm fortunate that I know how to skateboard, and my sponsors are great, and just make music, and that's how I'm going to carry out the rest of my summer. I don't want to go see my mother. I'm going to get a COVID-19 test in a couple of days, a coronavirus test rather. I haven't had one. My husband has. He's had 2 positive tests for antibodies and 1 negative corona. So, it's all you can do is just be conscious and stay in tune and respect everybody else's space, and just be aware, try and keep going. So that's what I'm doing the rest of the summer, is riding my skateboard, making art, and calling my friends and family.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Brian, thank you for help enlighten us and help being aware, and Liv and Emery for being part of this and still making your impact. And you guys have done great things and continue to do great things. And we're all in a better place because of that. So thank you guys for being here, and thanks for sharing your message, because it's got to start somewhere. And like we said, our art is our voice and our vote is our voice. So yes. let's continue to move forward with that. Definitely. I know we've definitely talked a lot about a lot of things, and a lot of things to start making an impact in our communities. But I think we got a pretty good start on where we need to begin and what we need to do moving forward. So Liv, Emery, Brian, it's been a pleasure, needless to say. I was stoked to be able to chat with you guys and pick your brain on some topics that are important to all of you. And it's great to see the actions we're taking to make a difference in the world. Congrats again on all the gift card winners out there. Elbows to everybody. Go spend that gift card money. If you haven't already, go donate those stash points that we gave out earlier, and some of the ones that you've been banking to those 3 great organizations that we've been working with: Photo Latino, Rock the Vote, and Amplifier.
Yes.
I know 2020 has been a year. It's a year of ups and downs, and it's a year that we probably want to press fast forward on. But at the end of the day, it's probably something we should live through, because it's the only thing it's going to do. It's going to allow us to learn what to do when we have to go through these things. And yes, we're going to go through some rough times in the future, but it gives us a reason why it's important to understand, to get registered, and to go vote. We have learned how important it is to have someone who represents us in our nation, but most importantly, in our state or provincial level, or even more important, a local level. Get yourselves registered to vote, educate yourselves, and begin to inspire others to do the same. It starts with you. Make your voice heard, show up, and vote. That's how we create change. Thanks everybody for coming by. Until next time, get yourself registered, use your voice, hit up zumiez.com/standup. Easy steps to go get registered, or if you're in Canada, zumiez.ca/standup. Took me 3 minutes to do it. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for us. And thanks everyone again for coming on.